Hi, welcome to the Gamesplainer. I'm Jeff the Gamesplainer, and today I'm gamesplaining Raiders of Scythia. So Raiders of Scythia is a 1 to 4 player game. Do I think it plays with one? I don't know. I never check. I never actually do the different way of play. The way they have scaled this game is just removing the ability to get some spots. This is a really interesting game in that it sounds like a fighting game, which to everyone's knowledge is roll and whoever has the highest roll wins. And it doesn't have that at all. This is very much a Euro game, but it's also a fighting game. But you're not fighting against the other players at the table, you're fighting against the game itself. There are various spots on the board that you can raid. And that's a huge majority of the board. There's one area just at the top which allows you to do all the stuff that you need to do to build up in order to be able to raid. There are meeples that are all over the board, and when you raid a spot, you get the meeple from that spot. The different colored meeple allows you to do different colored things or different things. The different colored meeple allows you to raid different spots on the board. You need to have followers. So you can have up to 5 followers. You need to have 4 or 5 followers to be able to raid the bottom space of the board. You only need 1 or 2 followers to do the upper spots. So the further down the board you go, the harder it is to raid those areas. When you raid, you are adding up the strength of all of your followers because they have little numbers on them. You're rolling some dice depending on how far down the board you are. You're going to be rolling a different number of dice. So the very first spot, you're only rolling 1 die. When you get to the bottom, you're rolling 4 dice. If there's any gold on the space, you're raiding on the space next to it. You're rolling a gold die as well, or 2 if there's gold on both. And all that these things do is give you attack strength and give you hits. And so you need to take little blood drops and put them onto your cards for each of the hits that you take. You add up all of the strength that you've rolled plus the strength of your guys, etc., etc. If you're above a certain number, then you get all this stuff. If you're below that number, you might be above another number, which takes a few hits, things like that. If you're below that number, you probably shouldn't have rated it anyway, because here's the thing, there aren't actually any spots in the rules that say what happens if you don't get to the lowest number. I've done the research and looked it up, and it's just you get the stuff anyway, you get the meeple anyway, you just don't get the points that come from achieving the raid. So there's a little bit of that push-pull is like, okay, I've got enough stuff, let's go for the raid and see what happens. The stronger you are going into a raid, the better off you are. Whenever you have one of those little pieces of blood on one of your cards, it just reduces the strength. Your guy can die, which is literally, oh, I've got 3 strength on that, I've got 3 of those little blood tokens, take it all off, it's gone. Okay, that's an empty spot, I can now hire another guy to go in there. There is a limit of how much stuff you can have. So you can, the limit is 8. You can have 8 food, you can have 8 cards, you can have 8 money, things like that. These other little things which are bonuses can be added to your number. You can have 8 of them. Sorry, I can't remember the name off the top of my head at the moment. I would need to look into the rules for that because it is not a word that I would usually use. That's all fine. How do you get this stuff? By using the top part of the board. And in essence, this is an action selection game. It's worker placement, but you only have 1 worker. You place that worker on one of the available spots and then take a worker off one of the other spots, which creates a really interesting gameplay, because if I need money, but there's a worker already on there, I can't go and just get money. I need to go and do something else and take the worker off the money spot. The problem is I then need to wait for the game to get all the way around the table and back to me and hope that that money spot is still available. Or I could go, oh, I really want to get money, but I think that that person over there also needs to get some money, so I probably won't touch that. I'll do something else and hope that they take the meeple off that spot so that I can go there. But then you've got different colored meeple. So you start with a blue guy, you will pick up at a grey guy once you have attacked. And once you've got the grey guy, you're going to have to use him to do something and then take another one back. The one you take back is probably going to be blue. And the colour of the meeple that you're using directly changes what you're going to get out of a spot. So quite often the money will get more money if you put a red meeple on it than if you put blue or grey. Red guys you don't get till the end of the game, till the bottom of the board. But once you've placed a red guy up there, he's up there. Anyone else on the table can take that red guy back when they're taking a guy back. And it's a really interesting way to play because the things that you want to do may be covered by other meeples. Do I take them or do I wait for someone else to take it in the hopes that I can jump in and just grab that spot? The colour of meeple that you need to be able to do stuff, because some of the spots to actually do a thing need to have grey or red meeples on them. You can't just use the blue one. So it kind of reduces the amount of stuff you can do. In fact, the very first thing you can do, there's only really 3 choices because there's meeples on the other spots. And so you're not just selecting a meeple, you're going, what do I want to do next time? What colour meeple is it going to take? Where do I get that coloured meeple from? If I get it from over here, that then releases that spot for someone else to be able to use. If I get it from here, that releases that spot. No one else can use that, but I don't really want to use that. There's a lot of thinking of which way to go with this. On top of all that, each of the cards that you have, that you've played, have a symbol on the bottom or have some writing on the bottom that tell you what benefit you get from having them in your team. Some of them actually give you points for them dying. You want to kill them off. Some of them are really beneficial for right down at the bottom of the board. Some of them are beneficial for the top of the board. All these different things, and you kind of need to make a balance between when to get them onto the board, because if you're just at the start of the game and you play something that gives you a benefit when you're at the bottom of the board, he's probably going to be dead by the time you get there. There's a lot of which way to go. The other thing is there's another symbol on the bottom of each card, which is a one-off thing. And so one of the actions at the top of the board is to do the one-off thing of one of the cards in your hand. Not one of the cards you've played, but one in your hand. So if they've got a funky do this thing, it's worth hanging on to that rather than getting them down onto the board so that you can use that action to put them down and get the thing. There's a lot to think about with this one. When you attack and raid a location, you're going to get some hex markers off there, which are woods and stone and black ore, I think. It doesn't really matter too much. It might just be that the brown ones are horses. I can't remember because I just work with colour rather than working with what the colour represents. But you need certain different combinations of those colours in order to achieve quests that are turned over. So whenever you attack a location, you take the markers, flip the card over, and there's suddenly a quest available. And if you can, on a future turn, go and do I'm going to do a quest action, you can turn in the hex markers or whatever is on that tile to get the points that are listed on that tile. Now what I noticed is that quite often they'll ask for a gold token. The gold is worth 2 points at the end of the game. And so what I was doing in my head is if I see that, I just take 2 points off the thing anyway to go, is there actually value in doing that? And I find that sometimes there is value, sometimes there is not value. But making that decision, and what this game comes down to is this game is about the few points at a time. You'll get 2 or 3 points. You get 2 or 3 points. Get 4 points. You get 3 points. You get 6 points. You get 2 points. Just that little bit here and there is enough to make things worthwhile. And obviously we always like to go after the big stuff, the stuff that has the high numbers on it. But the high numbers, I'm not sure how long it takes you to get to them as opposed to just going after a whole bunch of these small number things. I'm not sure, because I haven't done the math on it, on how worthwhile these quests are to do. They feel worthwhile, but you're getting points for most of the stuff that you're turning in. The quests that have money or that have cards on them that you turn into to get them. They're 100% worthwhile if you've got the spare stuff, because it always costs you these things to get other things. There's a real economy going on in this game, and I actually really like it. I found that in the game's play, there was one point where the player doesn't really have anything they can do. And that's a really interesting thing. I haven't come across that before. I'm not actually sure what happens if you literally cannot do anything. If it's just you have to put a meeple up and take one back and you just, that's what it was. I don't know. But I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed this. I think this is a worthwhile game. I do worry that because this is a battle game, if Euro players will steer clear of it because it's battle, and the players who like that battling thing aren't going to come near it because it's a Euro. I wonder if it's actually trying to bridge that gap but failing to do so because it offers something vastly different than what players who would come to it naturally would want. Or it looks like a game that people who wouldn't play battle games probably are going to steer clear of. Look, I think I'll leave it there. I'll let you think about it and have a look at the game. Please have a look at it and see if you would like it. Go ahead and watch my Gamesplay and Gamesplanation to get a feel for how the game plays and all the stuff that goes into it. If you have any games that you would like to be Gamesplaned, please shoot me an email to thegamesplainer@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter @thegamesplainer to keep up to date with the games I'm playing. Subscribe to my videos to keep up to date with the games that I'm gamesplaining. And until next time, enjoy gaming.